Southgate Media and Radio Free Endor presents The Ritual of Endor.
Breakfast looks good, Jason.
Should be. I cooked it myself.
Morning.
What the hell was that noise?
Sorry, that was my zip.
What's a zip?
Oh yeah, you don't have zips in this galaxy.
This is so useful. It would have made my life so simple with this instead of Velcro tape.
Really? Well, I'll pick you some up on the next time I'm out there. And Jason, why are you still wearing that space helmet? You know there's no pollutants on Endor, just clean, fresh air.
Right, yeah.
Anyway, how are you feeling?
Like I've just woken up from walking up and down really big mountains.
Ah, well, one night down, 2 more to go, Jamie.
Well, speak for yourself, Rob. I feel like activating the homing beacon for the transport to pick me up from this place.
Come on, man. Where's your soul? Look, these mountains were smashed out by Endor gods with big-ass sonic cameras.
You're right, Jason. But you know what they have on walking trails in Tatooine? A cantina.
Yeah, and blazing hot sun. There's always the slaughtered wampa in the village.
We don't go there anymore. Well, not after the incident last year. Clowns. We don't do clowns.
Breakfast is ready, gentlemen, and then it's off to the top of the hill.
Definitely.
Ooh, fantastic. Rob passes the sauce.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like my boots, reduced to 200 credits. Forget-me-not foam with wampa fur lining as well.
Nevertheless, still need to break them in.
Basic common sense, Jason.
Yeah, definitely.
Jason, you're going to take that space helmet off or what? Get you a biscuit.
Gotcha.
Alright.
Okay, I think I found the spot. According to the scanner, it's just up at the top of this hill.
Good. I think my boots are wet.
That's just beautiful.
What's up now?
I've dropped the homing beacon. It was on my belt, but the clip is broken.
Dude, it's not the end of the world. Anyways, shall we do this?
Well, since we're all here...
Drinks all around!
You're right, Rob, and I brought my lucky flask. Hold out your glasses. One for you.
Thank you.
You.
Definitely.
One for me. And one for the lost.
Jamie, you do know you're pouring that on my new boots.
Shh. We're having a moment here.
Yeah, a wet boot moment.
He was a good man. The best of us. It should never have happened.
It should never have happened.
But it did. Bloody clowns. And all we can do is remember him. Paul, we miss you, mate.
It's okay. We've not missed him. He's right over there.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry I'm late. I missed the transport. Then there was border control. Well, I'm here now for another great camping weekend.
You hate camping.
I know, I was joking. But I couldn't let you down now, could I?
Well, it's great to see you anyway, buddy.
Ditto, dude.
Well, now we're all here, gentlemen. Let's go see the Bright Tree Village Villa over there.
Holy moly, is that a villa?
I think it is. Yeah.
I thought we were further out than that.
Well, it's still a good day's walk.
Come on then. Best foot forward and all that.
Oh, man.
Jamie, when we get back, I was thinking, I might stop on a few days. Maybe get out there, do a little bit more hiking or something, you know.
Really?
Nah. Oh, no. Nibbles, anyone?
Yeah. Go on then.
Nibbles? Sure.
My new boots are all wet in this rain.
Maybe you should have paid a little more for some waterproof Rancor hide boots, Rob.
I know. And who considers this as character building anyway?
Quite frankly, right now, Endor can lick my banks.
Lick your what?
My banks. Dude, the banks?
Oh, you mean the Jar Jar?
Yeah, the banks.
Yeah.
Holy crap! He's rolling a long way.
Quick, after him.
Dude, you okay?
No, I am not okay.
You fell a long way, nearly into these creepy woods. And I must state, we're off the path again.
Come on. Let's get you up.
Oh, crap.
Alright, come on. Easy. Easy.
Come on, mate. You're all right. Just walk it off. Come on, walk.
Walk it off. Are you mad? No, it's twisted. It's twisted.
Are you sure?
I can't put my full weight on it. And it hurts like a son of a witch.
Maybe if you rest for a bit, then it'll be okay.
No, I've done it before. It's my meniscus.
Bummer.
What we thinking, Jam?
Well, because the trail is up there and it goes right round these mountains there, it's probably, 6 hours until we camp? Another 8 around to the villa?
What are we thinking?
I'm not doing 14 hours on this.
Okay, there is another way out of this, man.
What?
Well, you saw it up there. The village. It's not that far, as the mine flies. Look, we're down here anyway. If we go southwest through here, we cut the journey in half.
What, through the forest?
Yeah, why not?
That's a better plan than walking back up there.
A little off-trail hiking? Couldn't get any more exciting than that.
Might even do us some good, and we could be kicking back by the evening time.
Well, as long as you don't leave me here, and I think I can walk with some help.
We need something for him to lean on. Jason, use some sort of tent rods. You can use them to help him walk.
Tent rods? Okay, no problem.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
What's up? You scared of the woods? If you know a quicker route.
Now, is it me, or is it really quiet in here?
Alright, don't crap your pants. The trees soak up the sound. That's what trees do.
What, soak up the sound of you having a crap?
Right, yeah.
Hiking was easier yesterday.
We weren't in the forest yesterday.
No, we bloody were not. Holy moly, that's loud!
God. Don't worry, come on. Let's keep going. It'll pass over soon. Let's get out of this rain, come on.
Let me check. The compass is going nuts, but it's getting late. We should really pitch the tents.
This is ridiculous, man.
What? So we're giving up making it back to town tonight, then?
I don't see we have much choice, Rob. Not in this rain, anyway.
Guys,
What is it?
What do you see?
look at this.
Well, how about that, then? Just what we needed.
What is that? Is that an Imperial outpost?
Yeah, it is. Let's have a look.
Hey, Jamie, wait a minute.
Come on.
Can you see anything?
It looks old and empty.
We should leave it alone.
There's a keypad here. I think I can hotwire it.
I don't think you should do that.
We need to get undercover, dude.
Says the guy with the helmet on. Yeah, beautiful.
Hold on, Paul. The's a number here on the wall.
What is it?
And I think it's been written in blood.
Wait. What?
Yeah, it is. Try it, Paul. I can't stay out here all night.
We have the tents. And them gel packs are working a treat. I can feel better already.
Well, Jason's used the poles, the two of them. Did a right A-team on them for you just to walk on. We're getting soaked.
What's the code?
1138.
Huh?
1138.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
You two check it out and I'll help Rob.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, we'll do.
Come on then, Rob. Easy does it, mate. Up you get. Come on. Nice and slow. Easy does it, mate. Here it is. What was that?
Did you hear that?
Ewoks, maybe? Yeah, Ewoks. Come on. Let's go.
Well, this is clearly the outpost we're going to get murdered in.
It's not as bad as the accommodation on the outer rim. Now that was grim. Oh look, another door, another lock.
Guys, this place is definitely abandoned.
I don't like this place.
I'm not too keen on it myself, to be fair, mate, but it's a lesser of two evils kind of situation. Got it. Let's see what's behind door number 2.
Definitely.
We just heard something outside. Did you two hear it?
No, but we're not the only animals in the woods.
True.
Anyways, let's get some heat up in here. Who's got the heater?
It's in my pack, but I've left it outside.
It's okay, I'll get it. I'll be quicker than thunder.
Quicker.
Yeah.
Guys, come and have a look at this.
What now?
Let's have a look.
Oh my god, what is it? And why does it have a stormtrooper's helmet on?
Well, whoever did this killed an Ewok, cut it open, nailed it to a cross upside down, stuffed it full of twigs and stuff as well.
There's no need to explain it. I can see it for myself. What do you think this is, an audio story?
It's a sacrifice. A sacrifice to the Endor moon of Endorus.
Endorus. You made that up.
No, we didn't. I've heard it too. It's the season of Bear Far.
Bear Far. You made that up as well.
No, he didn't. It's like the Vulcan heat rage of Pon Farr. Every 7 dog years, Ewoks become aroused. They undergo a blood fever, become violent, and finally die unless they mate with something with whom they are empathically bonded to, then engage in a ritual sacrifice. You don't live on Endor for 3 years and not know a thing or two.
Outside, quick! Jason!
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 Did you see anything?
All I saw was shadows, mate. I didn't see anything, really. But here's his helmet.
Oh my god, what?
I don't know. It's just... it took him.
Well, your backpack is over here, and it looks like it's all smashed up, and
Paul, get down, hide! Paul!
Over here. Over here.
Guess what? There's something big in these woods.
What do you think it is?
Well, it's big enough to pick up Jason and Rob. I just heard something coming here. It just took him. What did you see?
I don't know. It's fast. It's haunting us.
Yeah, something is. Paul, wake up, Paul.
This ain't my bed. It's just a pile of bodies.
No, it's not. It's the Ewok ritual. They must have knocked us out and brought us here. Look, over there. I think it's Jason.
Oh my god. What have they done to him? He looks like that Ewok in the outpost, all cut up and stuffed.
And he hasn't even got his helmet on. Oh my days. It's Rob. He's alive.
help me!
They're roping him to the cross. We have to help before they get
Alone! Oh my god!
I think it's too late for that.
Help me! What are you waiting for? Oh my god!
Look, it's a rancor.
Help me!
I feel the need to describe it.
Go ahead. I'm too scared witless to think of anything else myself.
It's a really ancient looking rancor. It's like it's been in the forest for a millennium. And it's got twigs and hides growing out of it. Like weird limbs of some kind. I'm not too sure. Have left the weapons of these bodies behind us. Look.
Grab one and fire.
Fire! Fire!
I don't want to die! Keep going!
Ewoks, they're not following us anymore. They've come back. What that thing is. Paul! Paul!
Keep going!
Go, Paul!
Keep going!
Oh no!
Keep going!
Run, Jamie, run.
Oh! The edge of the forest! I can see it, Paul! I'm gonna make it! You can't come out, can you? You're trapped. You're trapped in that forest, aren't you? Aren't you?
Look, there.
What am I? What?
Hold. Drop the weapon.
Wait. Okay.
On your knees.
Let me see your identification.
I need help. You've got to help me. There's an ancient creature back there. It's killed my friends. Please help me.
Sir, we have a survivor at Sector 7, Ridge 8. Orders.
Do you know what's going on?
Sergeant, there is no survivors in Sector 7, Ridge 8.
What?
Sir?
Yes, there is. It was me. I survived.
Men, load your weapon.
I survived.
Live from the forest moon of Endor, Radio Free Endor, a Star Wars podcast, bringing you news and reviews from the galaxies far, far away.
Welcome to the Campfire in episode 35 of Radio Free Endor on this Halloween night. And I have to say, it's a good job stormtroopers can't shoot for, well, you get the point. And the Ewoks have gone off to party the night away, and just for the record, no Ewoks or hosts were harmed in the making of the intro. And if you're looking for Star Wars news, why don't you try our friends over at Fantatrax? They have all the news you need at fantatrax.com. Well, we have a campfire going, and the droids are bringing the marshmallows, and we have some great stories to tell. And we have 2 paranormal researchers joining me later on the Holocom. So let's get started. Now, a friend at work had told me his story, and you could say he was never really a believer in ghost stories or ghosts, but after this particular night, he became a true believer. Many years ago, his wife worked at a home for the elderly, and as time goes on, well, people pass away. Well, there was a particular porter who worked there for many years, but for some unknown reason, he took his own life at the nursing home. Years later, people have said that they could hear footsteps and doors opening and closing at night, but when the staff looked, no one was ever there. Now, my friend's wife had to stay overnight as part of her shift, and kept having feelings that someone was watching her all the time. Even when she was driving home, she said she could see dark shadows moving in the back of a car in a rearview mirror, but there was no one ever there. That night, around 2 a.m, the couple were asleep in bed when all of a sudden, her husband, my friend, woke up and found himself looking into the eyes of a floating head that suddenly changed into a ball of light and flew out of the bedroom. My friend jumped out of bed and took after it. The ball of light shot down the hall, down the stairs, and out through a window and disappeared. To say he was really scared is to put it mildly. So he told his wife, who then told her work colleagues, and they gave her a photo to show him. Well, He took the photo and pointed out a staff member saying, "That's him. That's the face that was looking at me." Well, that's the same man that hung himself at the home, and his face had been seen in many of the female staff's homes, like he was following them. But his spirit always returned back to the nursing home. Well, after many cleansing of the nursing home, and the photos of the man were taken away, his ghost was never seen again. Now, we have Jason W.Christman on the Holocom with 2 more creepy tales.
Well, about 10 years ago, I drove from Southern California to Southern Oregon to visit my brother, and we all went out to this camp spot, and we weren't, only one of his friends was camping there, but we were all hanging out at the campfire. We're all hanging out at the campfire, and we all felt like we were being watched for some reason, and we turned around, and lo and behold, there's a woman standing there. And it freaked us all out, and we were like, "Hey, you know, how are you? Come up to the fire." There was no one at this campground but us, so we were a little startled by fire. And she came up, and she had a backpack, and she set the backpack down and was sitting there next to the fire, and she wouldn't say a word. She never spoke a single word. And we were like, you know, trying to, you know, pull some information out of her. And she was kind of a low talker, so any words that she did speak was barely heard. And we just kept looking at each other strangely, wondering what this was all about. And then we were running out of firewood, and the fire was going out. And so she got up and grabbed one of our flashlights and went off into the woods. And we're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And then you see the light deep in the woods, and then the light was gone. And we're like, what's going on here? And we were getting a little bit freaked out. Like, is she watching us? What's happening? And her backpack was still sitting there next to us. And we were, you know, wondering, you know, is she coming back for it? You know, she took the flashlight, what's going on? Some friends were thinking about opening the backpack, and I was like, don't touch it, you know, let's leave it alone. So then she comes back, and she has a whole bunch of wood, and we're like, oh, she was just getting firewood. Okay, you know, hey, thank you, and all that stuff. And friends started to leave because none of us were camping except for one person, and who was a girl, and her and her friend were both camping, and so everyone started leaving, and the only people left at the campground was me, these 2 girls who were friends of my brother he had left already, and then this weird woman who had showed up, and I felt obligated to not leave them with this stranger in this campground. So as I left, I said, you know, would you like me to give you a ride to town? You know, I can drop you off somewhere or whatever. And she had agreed. And so we're driving back to town from the woods. And I'm trying to normalize the situation because she's barely spoken a single word. And I'm trying to normalize the whole ride back. And I said to her, you know, where are you from? And then all of a sudden she said, you know, she's all, I'm from Tequila. And I was like, and I could hear her perfectly clear this time. I was like, Tequila. And I'm all, Tequila? And I started freaking out. I'm like, I'm literally thinking as I'm driving to town that I'm going to die on this trip.
Oh my God.
I'm going to die through this drive back home. I was scared to death. And by the time we get to the city, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to drop her off somewhere because I don't know. And so I pull over at this mini mart 24-hour place, and I said, well, this is where you get off, and I got to move on to where I'm going and stuff. And she grabs her backpack, and I thought, oh, okay, this is it. This is where it ends, right? And so she pulls out her backpack, and I'm like freaking out, and she unzips the zipper, and the largest cricket you've ever seen in your life, locust or something. I don't know what it was, but it was this huge giant, crawls out of her backpack, and she feeds it a little teeny piece of bread or a crumb of some sort or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm going, what is happening right now? And then she gets out, and she closes. She didn't even close the door. I had to reach and close the door. And there's it's a scene right out of a movie where there's one street light on flickering, and she's standing right underneath it. And I'm driving away, looking in my rearview mirror at her, just staring at me as I'm driving away. And it was the most freakiest evening I've ever had of my life.
God.
And I don't know where she came from. And later, I come to find out that there is a town called Tequila in Southern Oregon.
Oh my God!
So she wasn't actually joking about that. It actually is called Tequila, with an M at the end. But I heard Tequila, and I thought I was going to die. And I don't know if this person really existed, or if it was a figment of our imagination. But it was straight out of a ghost story. That
my God.
Probably wasn't a ghost, but it was a scary night nonetheless.
That is creepy. That is creepy. I know. I was thinking as you were saying it. Here we are laughing, but I could have felt so much terrified if it was happening to me.
I was terrified. I was so scared. I was so scared. I've never been that scared before in my life.
My God.
But there's another time where some roommates of mine, his mother, had her partner had passed away, and he was a 80-year-old gentleman, and they had been together for a few years, and he had passed away, and his services were on this particular day, and that evening she stayed with us at our house to stay the night. She didn't want to be alone, and we understood, so we're happy to have her there. I drove a motorcycle back then. The very next morning, I get on my bike to go run some errands or do something. And I'm on my motorcycle, and I have my helmet on, my gloves are on, the motorcycle's on. I'm about ready to drive away. The kickstand is up, and I stop myself. I put the kickstand down. I get off the bike. I walk to the front door, and right by the front door is this big giant rose bush with big roses. I pick, for some weird reason, the smallest, tiniest rose on the entire bush, and I rested it on the doorknob of the house, and I got on my bike and drove away and forgot all about it. And an hour later, I get a phone call from my roommate, and he was all, Jason, did you put a rose on the doorknob of the house? And I stopped to think about it for a second, because I didn't remember doing it. And I was all, I did actually put a rose on the doorknob.
Yeah.
And he was all, why did you do that? I said, I don't have a freaking clue. Why did I do that? I don't know why I did that. He said, well, the funny thing is, the gentleman who had passed away, every day in that 5-year time period that they were together, brought home baby roses for her. He worked someplace where there was these roses that grew, and every day, and they were tiny roses, and every day he would bring her home a tiny rose. And I never knew this. But somehow, for some weird reason, I did that.
That's strange.
The day she stayed at our house, and the morning of, and the morning after his services. And so we all believe, that it was some strange way of him letting her know that he was okay. And to this day, I honestly feel like something made me do that.
Yeah.
And so that makes me think that, there is something happening after life. It might not be what we imagine it to be or what religion says it is, but energy is energy, and consciousness is, I think, some kind of miracle in itself, and it gives me hope that there is something beyond.
Yeah, most definitely. They are two very one definitely creepy, and one that sounds slightly possessive. If you know what I mean. But fantastic tales there, Jason. Thank you. That was brilliant. Wow, how creepy was that? And are you thirsty for more? Now we have two real paranormal researchers from the SPI UK, Somerset Paranormal Investigators UK, with some amazing tales. So please, I welcome to the campfire Caroline Mckendrick and Marian Hill.
Hiya, this is us.
tell me about yourselves. And how did you get into it? Caroline or Marian, which one wants to kick off first?
Well, I became interested in the paranormal when I was about 14. My parents owned a 16-bedroomed, full-floored Victorian house in Weymouth, and strange things were happening. Doors would open, cupboards would throw linen out of it, TVs would turn themselves off, hair dryers would unplug themselves and switch themselves off at the wall. So I kind of thought, I need to find out more what's going on. So I went along to Spiritualist Church and started to ask questions, and that's where my interest came from.
Yeah.
Obviously, over the years, I've had a family, and it's only since my husband was sick that I've started to create my own group and to do things. Mm-hmm. He passed away 4 years ago, and so I've had more time to give to the paranormal investigation, and this is where I am now with this group, SPI UK.
Yeah. And
we're trying to increase our knowledge, find out the answer that everybody wants to know. Is there anything after you die?
And what about you, Marian?
Well, ever since I've ever known, I've always been interested in the paranormal, or interested in those things that you cannot see, that you cannot understand. So once I saw an opportunity to join a group which Caroline was part of about 4 years ago, to go on an investigation, and it was something I'd always wanted to do. So I took the step and went on it, and been hooked ever since. So I have a spiritual background, so I myself am a spiritual person.
Yeah.
So I've always had feelings, I've always had thoughts and sounds, how would I put it, voices in my head that I've never been able to explain, and since being with the group it sort of helped bring that forward and help me understand really what's been going on.
Yeah. Now, Caroline, knowing your first experience, did you find that frightening or anything?
Well, my first experience of a spirit wasn't pleasant, and anybody who's a spiritualist and has had visits from spirits will know this isn't particularly nice. As usual with teenage girls who are hitting puberty, I became very sensitive to things, and this house started to show itself to me. So at the age of 13, I woke up in the middle of the night and I saw lots and lots and lots of faces all crowding in my bedroom, and they were all whispering and chanting Caroline. So I didn't know if it was a dream or, because sometimes spirit can show themselves in a dream. But my bed started to shake, and I thought, oh God, what's going on? And the next thing I know, my mum came running into my room, put my light on and said, what the hell's the noise that's going on? Because all she could hear was my bed vibrating.
Yeah.
And I told her about it, and she said, just keep that to yourself because people will think you're nuts.
Really?
Yeah. So it's a case of, after that night, I became pretty sensitive to a lot of stuff going on. And I don't know if that's because teenage girls are very sensitive to being susceptible to things showing themselves, a spirit type, or if I was just my awakening of this kind of extra life that we can't visibly see with our eyes. So I wanted to know more about it, and I researched, but that was pretty terrifying for the first experience I ever had.
I bet it was. I can't think of anything more terrifying than that.
Yeah.
What about you, Marian? What is there anything that's really scared you?
I think the scariest, if you were to say to me, the fearful was the first time I ever heard anything in my head at all. And I'm sat there in my front room, and all I can hear in this voice all I can hear in my head is, listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. You're not listening to me. And you start doubting your own, how do I put it, sanity.
Yeah.
You think people say about having a dual personality. To hear somebody else talking and hear someone talking in your ear when you know there's nobody actually there, you doubt your sanity, and you actually doubt whether you're actually going crazy yourself. Mm-hmm. And that was more scary than anything, because it actually became the first time I actually heard my thoughts or what was going on in my head without actually having someone stood next to me. And I think that for me was fearful.
I can assure you, though, that Marian is the most grounded person that I know, and she is not in any way suffering from any mental health issues at all. I trust Marian completely, and if she has sensitive issues, as I do myself, we listen to each other because we're quite attuned. And we were having this discussion with another group that we work very closely with, which is PI UK, so Paranormal Investigations UK, having this conversation with Tony. And I said to him, is that just because we're female? Do you think we use a different part of the brain that some men would do? Is it like a genetic thing, or is it a sex orientation, kind of like, you know, females can feel things that men can't? And we're trying to work this out because there's a lot more sensitives out there in female form than there are male form.
Yeah, you do see a lot of you know, what specialists. Well, actually, whenever time I watch a TV show, you know, you have to say the most haunted, because I know TV does, you know, but most of them are always male spiritualists, and I've always wondered, how come you don't see many women on the TV do it? Perhaps they've got they know it's all right, you know, while they playing up, because sometimes they do ump it up a bit because it's TV at the end of the day, isn't it?
The team that we work from at the moment, though, even though Marian and I are quite sensitive to things, we don't come at it from a spiritualistic medium type of way, because we don't think that we are. We are very scientific with the approach that we take, and we use a lot of scientific equipment, all the run-of-the-mill stuff, and also pretty expensive equipment. So we're not just doing this on feelings. We approach all of our investigations for members of the public completely scientific.
Now, when it comes to spirits, perhaps Marian can tell me about this. Do you get the full range of spirits? Would you say, right, that spirits, not only would you get spirits from this plane, but would you get spirits from another plane?
Well, we've experienced spirits from everywhere now.
We've experienced from everywhere. We've experienced from the most gentle to the worst you could ever imagine.
Okay.
We've just recently been dealing with a case in Dorset. We don't want to give too much information for the anonymity of these people. We went back Saturday night. That'll be for the 4th visit. For
the 4th?
And if you'd have said to me 2 months ago, do I believe in the word demon? I would have thought, well, demon is, you know, something that's conjured up in the Bible to say if you're bad, this is what's going to happen to you. I like to use the word dark entity, and we went to do an initial investigation at this property, and the things that happened to us when we were there, we could not explain. And we're not talking about feelings of, you know, oh, I've been touched, or Marian feeling nauseous, or, you know, all this feelings. This was proper electrical paranormal investigation equipment that had never behaved like this before, and I could not explain it. We couldn't debunk it. I thought the claims that these people are making, we're going to go there at 7 o'clock, we'll be in the pub across the road having a debrief at 8:30. No, absolutely not. Within half an hour, the equipment, I've got a REM pod, and it's a heat sensor, so if the heat drops or rises, an alarm goes off. If the vibration, it goes off, and if anyone goes near it, so it's an electrical magnetizing field, so, you know, it will sense you moving near it. It would go off. They all have different alarms for the heat sensor and the magnetic field. So we're in the middle of doing this investigation, and this REM pod started to go off doing Morse code, and I thought, oh, is this some kind of early warning system that my battery's running out that I don't know about and haven't read on the instructions while we've been using it for the last year? So I had to kind of have a think. I put new batteries in it, and it still carried on doing Morse code. And then we went upstairs to the bedroom where most of the stuff would happen. And I put our SP7 on, which is a spirit box. It sweeps white noise on radios very, very quickly. And all the channels are swept, so that if voices are picked up, you can't actually pick up a whole sentence. It will be just a part. And it goes this quick. It goes ch-ch-ch-ch-ch. So you'd only be picking up part of words. So I put the SP7 on upstairs and put the speakers on. And it sounded like the speakers were going because it was ch-ch-ch-ch-ch-ch.
Yeah.
And I thought, right, batteries are going. And when I looked to change the batteries, the speakers weren't switched on, and the light wasn't on, and the noise was still coming through the speakers.
So basically it was sort of like turned off, but yeah,
it was
still...
turned off, completely turned off. We've got it all on video, we've got it all on recording. The light was turned off, but the speakers were still working. And I sat very cold thinking, oh, and I'm not going to swear because you're live.
Yeah.
So I sat and thought, bleep, what's going on? And then Paul and I, Paul's Marian's husband and Martin's my partner. Yeah. So Paul and I went downstairs and we heard some knocking. And I got downstairs and we'd already done base readings. And they've got an electric circuit board in the hallway, and it was kicking out over maximum milligauss, just by the circuit board, showing that the electric meter was giving off a lot of excess electricity near there.
Yeah. When
we heard this knocking in the front room, there was no milligauss recorded on that electrical circuit board at all, nothing. So whatever entity it was draining the excess electric that was coming off this circuit board. Now, if your Auntie Mary's going to visit you, she'd probably drain your batteries to get some energy, because they would work on is it an AC?
Yeah.
The batteries. But this was a very powerful entity, and it was taking it directly from the current from the circuit board.
Wow.
And I just stood there and looked at Paul and said, I don't know what's going on. I really don't. And then to finish off at the end of the night, what really sealed... my phone, even though it was in airplane mode, it had sent me an email. And I thought, how's this happening? I wasn't on Wi-Fi calling. There was no other way for my phone that I'm aware of to get any messages. It sent me an email. And I thought, oh, right, okay, this is stuff that never happens. But what really sealed the last thing was that we went downstairs to have a bit of a debrief before we closed the evening down. And I could smell like burnt matches and mixed with rotten eggs. I couldn't explain it. And it was like a burnt sulphur smell.
What, I don't want you to go into details of the family nor the location of the house, but did prior to you going to the house, did you have a look at the history of the house, previous tenants?
Yes. Yeah.
Did anything bad happen before?
No.
Nothing.
No, the only thing that we found out literally 3 days ago was the last tenant was convicted of being a heroin and a cocaine addict and dealing.
All right.
So, I mean, if you live that kind of lifestyle, you are opening up, because you're using psychotropic drugs, you're opening part of the brain that would encourage bad stuff to come towards you. And also with that kind of lifestyle, I'm not saying it definitely is, but it genuinely, you can use things like Ouija boards, and you can, want the occult to be part of your life. It could be something.
It's very dark. Your life becomes very, very dark.
Yeah.
I had heard that the last 5 people who'd lived there has all moved out. But since Saturday, we now know what is going on, because, this all started in June.
Yeah.
We went in August. By the time that we'd managed to get round to having the first visit, we then employed a demonologist, and a medium, who had 3 attempts to get rid of what was there. Now, they've said the first one that they've met that has been this powerful is the most powerful that they've ever come across in their entirety of doing what they do.
Yeah.
They've had 3 bites of the cherry. We've gone back in and said, look, we can't keep sending a demonologist in. We have to work out what's going on here. So we went back and got our co-team friends up in Stoke, Cheshire area. They came back and we did another initial investigation. So it's just like it's the beginning first one ever again to see what's going on. And on Saturday night, we had quite a good result. There's no bad, evil entities there, but there is constant entities. And they've got this power cable which brings electric into the house for the house's electric supply.
Yeah.
and it's on a 400, is it 400 DC or AC? It brings it, and then it changes it through to DC for your 250 volts into the house. The milligauss, it was kicking out outside because it's got a side strainer coming down from the electric overhead cable into their garden.
Yeah.
The milligauss it was giving out was off the scale that we've never ever recorded. So this thing or these things that keep popping into the house, I've got to keep popping into the house. It is what we would probably call a sick house, but we can't make that label. So what we now have to do is we are now getting the SPR involved, which is the Society of Psychical Research for the whole of the world, basically.
Yeah.
We're going to call them in to see what they can do to help, because it's beyond our ability to deal with.
If you imagine that pole out the front with that electricity being one massive magnet.
Wow. That's amazing. When does something from nothing get to a point where you have to call in professionals? You know, how much does somebody have to take inside the house before they call someone?
They've taken a lot. They took a lot, but we kind of disproved some of it, and we thought a lot of it was paranoia. But when we've gone in, we expected after having the demonologist in 3 times that this would just be paranoia this time. But Marian, explain the situation that happened that's made us think that it's not.
Yeah, at one point during the evening, there was a few of us stood in the kitchen there, and there were 3 people in the front room of this property.
Yeah.
And everything had been fairly quiet, apart from, I think, you'd get the odd little, you'd get a bit of feeling, but there was nothing major going on. And then all of a sudden, one of the ladies who is a member of the PI team, she felt, for some reason, she felt like a surge of madness. When you say madness, more of, being upset, being mad, being cross. And the guy who is actually the homeowner, she, for some reason, she just asked very out loud and quite in an abrupt way where he was. Now the second she did that, it was almost, because it sounded like she was having a go at him. From the kitchen, all of a sudden, I was on the end of the row of people that were in the kitchen. I suddenly felt like a large chunk of what I would call vomit come up into my throat. Now, with that, it was literally so sudden, there wasn't any warning, I didn't get any other feeling, all I got was this lump of vomit come into my throat. The person next to me, who was Martin, another member of our team, he literally flew to the side and made a really, to be honest with you, the noise he made I can't exactly describe, but because I was more concerned about the fact that I was about to be sick in that kitchen, that worried me. By the time I could get from the kitchen to the bottom of the stairs, you heard Caroline shout that her hair had been pulled considerably, very hard.
In the front room.
In the front room.
With the door shut, so we heard none of the other room.
And at the same time, the PI team, the leader of the PI team, Tony, he felt himself be shoved. And it was 1, 2, 3, 4. It was that quick. All of us had something different happen to us at a fast rate, but each response was very strong. So I ended up being sick. You had Martin, who was physically pushed and felt the whoosh of something going past him. Caroline with her hair being pulled and Tony being shoved, literally within a matter of seconds, as whatever it was flew through the house. Yeah. And that was an experience that if you've got 4 different people already experiencing that literally within a few seconds, not even knowing what the others are experiencing, and you come together and explain it, there is absolutely no explanation. There is, all you know, it was a force. What that force was, we'll never know. But we do know that force was strong enough to physically hurt 4 people within about a 5-second interval.
Oh my God. That sounds really scary.
Well, it's not the scariest thing that we've ever had happen to us, but it wasn't pleasant. Yeah. But we can say that was not a negative entity that did that. So that is some mischievous ghost or mischievous poltergeist. We don't know what yet, but it was an entity that did not show up with any negativity, the same as the demons did.
So in this one house, you had a demon, plus you
no,
also...
we had 3 demons that we had to deal with.
3 demons, and plus you also had positive entities as well in the house.
Lots
so
of positive.
do you think, is it a case of one's trying to sort of like push the other back? It's like a struggle going on in the house, and like you've just turned up to be the spectators of it.
I think it's to do with this electric cable that's coming in. It's just like a big beacon of a neon light saying, "Over here for some good fun, you entities that's never touched the earth plane or passed over." I can't answer what you're asking me because I don't know these answers, because we're still trying to find out. They seem to be living together on different planes and different levels.
Strange. It's like there's more floors to the house than there is.
Definitely, yeah.
Marian, didn't you see what looked like a black dog or something?
No, that was me.
Oh, was that you, Caroline?
Yeah.
All right.
The very first time I spoke to the demonologist to try to bring him into this house, I started having things happen, and I started seeing a dark shadow in my house watching me and feeling like I was being constantly watched.
In your house?
Yes. I had an attachment from one of the entities follow me, and it was quite destructive. I don't want to go into what kind of things it was doing, because I am mentally sound and I'm very grounded, and I don't want to kind of say the kind of things that it was doing, but it was having an effect on me, my beliefs, and my whole of my belief system, to be honest. It put into question. It all calmed down because I got the demonologist out to clear the house and clear me from the attachment. And after they did their 3rd visit, we thought, well, this is it. That's it. It's all done. But when we had a phone call a few weeks ago saying that there was still more stuff going on, the day that I got in contact with the medium who was involved, stuff started happening again. Like my Alexa would just turn itself on and started talking randomly. I can kind of debunk that because she's a little bit nuts, Alexa, and she does just talk occasionally.
Funny you should say that, because our Alexa, literally when the house is still, all of a sudden Alexa will go, "I'm not too sure I understood what you said."
Exactly.
No,
yeah.
What? We've looked at each other and gone, "What?"
Yeah.
But I would say, especially how you use these devices to see if you can hear a spirit.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a perfect thing for a spirit to come through?
Yeah. Well, just check your Alexa, because on your app it will tell you the question that was asked.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. Oh, I hope it does it again.
You go onto your app, and if you go via your phone or connection, whichever one you have, it will come up with Alexa responses, and it will show you the question that was asked for the response that she gave. So you'd be very surprised what actually could have been picked up before that. Ooh. But when you look at people, each person will react to an energy, whether that be spiritual energy or whether that be, you said about a house, how far can people go?
Yeah.
How far can you may get some people that will have one experience and it will terrify them enough to want to get help. You may find some people that will live in a house for absolutely years with stuff going on and be too scared to either say that it's going on because they're scared of what people will say. But then you will also get the experience where you have somebody who is what they believe is to be a haunting, which can be a family member. It can be a very close family member that's passed on, and they're living in a parallel way with a previous homeowner or family, and they're more than happy to spend their life living in that house with a parallel universe running at the side of them. And they are so interesting, those cases, because you will actually have somebody there which they don't want the spirit to go. They want that spirit to remain, but they'd like to know who that person is that's with them. The moment they either find out who they are, or they have somebody go in there and say, "We agree with you, this is a wonderful feeling, it's a wonderful home, there's nothing negative here," they'll go back to living their life alongside of a spirit, and they can live the rest of their lives. Yet you may get one person who's the first initial something happens and they put it down to it being paranormal, and they cannot live with that. So it makes our lives quite interesting, because we never know whether we're turning up to a property where you've had a one-off event which could be easily explained, or if we could be turning up to a property where events have been going on for years and years, and they're more than comfortable, but they've just decided they'd actually like someone to come in just to confirm that it is going on, and then they're not losing the plot.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you would actually get people saying, "Oh, I don't want you to get rid of it. I just want to know who it is."
Yeah.
Oh, it's just amazing. That is just amazing. Now, you're talking about the devices that you use.
Yeah.
Which is the best one?
Oh.
I mean, because there's no end. Some people even use apps on their phones nowadays.
Yeah.
Do they work?
It's difficult. It depends. I've had a really good experience with an app. And I've actually been... I went to a place near... I think it's called Western Zoyland, which is...
in between Bridgewater
area, and it's in an old abandoned airfield. And we went to there, and this was purely during the day with my husband Paul, and I put on my app and to see what come up, and we were stood there, we'd been talking about the old wind, what I call the orange socks, that show the direction, and it came up with wind and orange. Now, what are the odds of that? I'm not saying that it was not pure coincidence, but it came up with wind and orange. We also went to a place called Nunney Castle, which is Frome, which is a very interesting place, which you can go to, and also a place at Lidford Gorge in Devon. Now, that is a beautiful place if anyone wants to go just to visit a spiritual, supposed, depending on whether you believe that way, building, which is an old jail, which is anyone can enter at any time of the day. It's just open to the public. And we went there, and the app had never come up with more than one word at a time. And I asked the app, to anyone here, have you got a message to tell me? And it came up with hung and quartered, the two words together. I've never had that before. And then, so we did ask again, and we heard with jail buried. And we happened to be in a jail, and half the jail was actually buried underground. So it depends which way you look at it. I believe that if you have an app, you can get a good response, but I would not actually rely on that app for evidence.
Yeah. Some electrical equipment that we have is, we can use it for many different reasons. There's something called a Mel meter, which will experience EMF, also light sensor, and you can set it to different varying settings. Now, a Mel meter will pick up very low level energy and magnetic field. So you can use it for stuff that wouldn't normally come up on an EMF meter. And the EMF meter starts at about 20 milligauss and it goes up. An EMF will come down to 19, down to 0 kind of thing, and up to 2,000 and 200,000. So you can see how it can have different variation. Now with the EMF, it picks up low level stuff, and that could just be an electrical magnetic field that gives paranoia around about the 19 milligauss. So this is just an interesting piece of kit for that reason. You've got your REM pod, which picks up, as I said, heat variations, movement sensors, and then you have thermal thermometer, which has got a laser on it. That's pretty good. I think my favourite piece of kit has to be the spirit box.
Yeah, the spirit box.
It scans all of the white noise and it picks up different variations. I mean, we are now getting in with this new group that we set up recently, just the four of us. We've moved away from the group we were in previously because we've gone in different directions.
Yeah. Learning
was just going into two different variations. We're more scientific. They were more, let's go for the oohs and the ahs and the scares. And we want to go down the route of getting something called an SLS, which is a piece of kit that's made by Zach Bagans from Ghost Adventurers.
Yeah.
And it picks up stick figures. It would pick up things that you can't see with your eye by using an Xbox 360 sensor. And what it would do is it would pick up a figure that you can't necessarily see with your own eyes. When we were in the Demon House, we gave this a running through because it's a new piece of kit to both teams. And when Marian and Amanda were upstairs in the bedroom, they picked up a figure in front of them that they couldn't visibly see with their eyes.
It physically crawled up the wall, went over the top of Amanda, who was in front, at which point she touched her head. You saw her flick her hair to say that something had touched her, and without actually her being able to see the screen, because the screen was facing us, the other end of the room, at that point this figure had actually touched the top of her head. She put her hand out to the side. She said that she actually felt something touch her hand. She could not see that screen. She would not have known the fact, what we could see, that this figure had climbed down off the ceiling and had actually stood next to her and had touched her hand. So it was an amazing bit of equipment. So, but if you were starting out, if you were an investigator, that one of your listeners might just say, what could I do? I'd love to do something myself. I'd love to go somewhere. A standard little voice recorder, a standard voice recorder you can get, or even the voice recorder on your phone, to go somewhere and be quiet or ask questions and to record voices, to be able to record that you may think, I can't hear anything, to be able to get home and listen to that very quietly. Be very surprised what you will actually hear come through on a voice recorder.
The most terrifying thing that I've picked up, we went to, was it the hotel that was closing down? Yes. There was a hotel closing down, and she asked before she left, can you come? And she said, X, Y, and Z room is really haunted. And I walked round and I said, I'd like to go into J room, please. She said, you've got full where you want to go. And I just had this feeling to go into this one room that she said, there's nothing there that we've had come back. In this room, I've got the dictaphone going, and I've said, is there anybody with us? Please step forward, take our energy, make yourself known to us. Would you like us to talk to you? And I left a gap, nothing. And I said, if you want us to leave, tell us now and we'll go. Anyway, after 30 seconds or something, we replayed the message that we were talking. And at the point I said, would you like us to go? We heard this voice on the recorder that nobody heard in the room, and it said, get out.
Oh, yeah.
So we left. We took the hint.
Yeah.
But a simple piece of equipment like that, a simple voice recorder that you can go out and, go out hunting somewhere, go out into the middle of nowhere. You don't have to go somewhere that's haunted. You can go absolutely anywhere. You don't need to have a haunted castle. You can be on a road, you can be in a field, anywhere, and have a voice recorder and a torch so you know where you're going, and you can do your own mini investigation, and that is the best way to start off.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people always say that haunted houses are old properties, but that's never the case.
No, it's not. No.
It can be a new build. Do you think sometimes they say like sandstone in buildings or
limestone?
Limestone. They can soak up the energy, then it will replay what's happened.
Yeah,
and some people say, and some people say it's literally like a videotape replaying.
Yeah.
If you stand here, you won't see it. But if you stand here,
two types of hauntings. Well, more than two types, but you've got the interactive hauntings that you can have where you ask questions to spirits and they reply and give you reactions, and then you have the video that plays. I've been at, is it Nunney Castle?
Yeah.
I was at Nunney Castle and I heard hoof and a carriage of a horse and carriage coming by, and I said, can you hear that? Nobody else on the team heard it, played it back on the recorder, and you can hear them. We didn't see anything, and it wasn't interactive, and I'm kind of guessing that was the videotape of the energy within that, it was an ancient burial ground, so it was going to be very steeped in history and have lots of energy. So, yes, you can have replays of videos. In a friend's house, there used to be a lady with a grey dress that used to walk from left of his kitchen right through to the front door, and you just watch it, and she wouldn't acknowledge you, and she wouldn't speak. She had no knowledge you were there, but it was just the video recorder on a loop.
But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a video. People will always look at an old building and say that looks haunted. that looks like that's got. It's because they can sense the history in that building.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily need to be an old building. You could get a brand new house that's been built on some land.
Yeah.
You know, you could have a building that's been converted into flats.
Renovations create a lot of paranormal activity. And this is how, you know, when people say they see ghosts walking through walls or walking with their feet halfway through the floor level.
Yeah.
You change the outlook of the house and you increase the height of the floor level or put a wall where there wasn't one before. The spirit on its video tape recorder loop, it still does the same walk from the kitchen through to the front door. If you put a wall in the way, it's still going to do its loop. So it will take on the format of its original house, or if there wasn't a house, a battleground, or however it was that they've been taken to that place at that time. This is why you sometimes see different, like, ghosts floating, because the floor was originally higher than it was.
Amazing. Do you know, it's been absolutely fantastic. You know, it's really, really interesting and everything. Have you both, I know it's a bit strange, isn't it? Have you got a favourite haunting that you look back on and you think, that was a really good one? You know, apart from what you've already told me about.
I know Maz so well. I know what her answer's going to be, and it's going to be exactly the same as mine.
Yeah.
But that might change recently.
Yeah.
There's three most haunted places we've ever been, and Maz and I will probably put the same one at the top.
Yeah.
Which was the mill. We heard girls running, whistling, laughing, talking, and there was this big sand, you know, like the chains that would go down to lift the bags of mill up and flour.
Yeah.
It started wobbling on command, and we were having breathing in our ears. It was just very active.
We had, at one point, we were stood on the top floor of this mill. You had this massive big chain coming through a hole in the floor. There was literally nobody anywhere else in the building. The only other entrance to that building was locked. So there's no way anyone was in there, and we had the key. And we were stood on the top floor, and we shone a torch down at everybody's feet, and we said, because one of the things as a team is you have to trust each other. There is no point in being part of a team if you cannot trust the other people. You have to put every bit of faith that your colleagues, your team members are not tapping their feet or they're not throwing things. You have to put your faith in them. And we were stood at the top of this building, and it was a really old building with a wooden floor. And we would ask a question, and you would go 2 for yes, 1 for no, and you would get a response. You'd have a very clear 2 taps for yes, 1 for no.
What I did is I made the team sit down and lift their feet off the floor and hug them into their chest, so there was nothing touching the floor apart from their bottoms, and we were still getting the responses.
Wow.
And while we were doing that, all of a sudden this big chain, and you imagine the weight of these chains, chains started to swing. And we were stood there, literally, talk about goosebumps appear on you. It was one of those moments, because
I bet it is, yeah.
You needed somebody at the bottom of the building to be able to swing that chain to enable that chain to move the way it did.
And there was this this part of this mill that jutted out over the road. I don't want to mention the name of it because we did put a little bit of a blurb on our website at the time, and they were inundated with people wanting to go. So we're not what the mill is.
I was going to ask you as well.
I'm sorry, we were told off.
That's okay. That's okay.
Post. So there's this part of the mill that juts out. It's about 10 foot that overhangs the road. We were told not to go in it because the floor wasn't safe and somebody might fall through. And when we were outside having a cool down cup of coffee in the middle of the road.
Oh, by the way, this was on Halloween. And we were all dressed up in costume. So we were all in a Halloween costume.
Yeah.
So we looked up. We had a photographer at the time who was a professional photographer with very expensive equipment. Stuff that would not give you lens flare, that would create the illusion of orbs or mists or anything. So we completely discounted that. He looked up, and at head height of what a child would be, which is what we've been hearing all night, there was a clear photograph of a face looking out of this bit that jutted out over the road.
Ooh.
And there was no one else in that building.
We all went outside to cool down with a cup of coffee.
Oh my god. Oh my god, that is spooky. Is that the same for you then, Marian? Is that one of your favourites?
Yeah, that one will always stick in my mind.
Yeah.
For the simple reason that there was no electric in that building. It was literally what you call almost derelict. It was to the extent that you walked in there and it was like a time zone. You went back in time, and it was such a special night for the fact that that was the evidence we received was what we would call old school.
Yeah.
Because you can get two lots of results. You can get what you call old school, so you can get the taps, the knocks. You can hear things with very clearly. You can see things, or then you will get the scientific way. So therefore, you've got your REM pods and your recordings and videos and things. So therefore, you will get it via that. But I love myself what I call the old school, the pure, the natural investigations. So that one to me was my favourite. The demon house that we've just been involved in, that is definitely not for the fact of fear factor or anything like that, but it was the most interesting thing we've ever done.
I think learning curve.
Yeah, we've learned more as a team from that event, and especially with dealing with PI, Paranormal Investigation UK. We've learned so much, and we've actually, it's amazing then that you look at things so differently. But I can't say that's my favourite, because I never actually, we didn't get what I call the natural effects, the natural results we did get from this mill. But we did also another. I think if I had to have my second, it would be a local club, or should I say,
they don't mind us using their name.
All right, there's a place in Yeovil called Chicago Rock. It's a nightclub.
Yeah.
And we were sat there one evening, and an advert flashed up on Facebook that showed a video, and they said, look what's happened in Chicago Rock, and they had faked a video of what appeared to be a ghost appearing on the dance floor and disappearing.
Yeah.
And it got to the extent where we contacted the pub. We went, it's not real, and they go, no, it's a bit of a gimmick because we're having a Halloween party and we want to draw people in.
Yeah.
So we went, well, would you let us come in and do an investigation for you and see whether what you're saying, it's all right saying it's fake, but are you sure?
They definitely said that there was stuff happening there, and the reason why it's one of our favourites is, I don't know if I mentioned to you, but before my job I do now, I was a police officer for 12 years. And when I was on night shifts, we used to get called out to this nightclub at 3 to attend with the key holder because the alarms were going off.
Yeah.
After the third visit, I said, right, you've got to change your alarm system. There's a fake bit of equipment or a faulty bit of equipment or something that's making this back door keep going off, or you've got a very, very sensitive IR that's picking up moths or something. It literally would be every Friday or Saturday night. So they changed their equipment 3 or 4 times and replaced things. So when I went out, I said, can I just tell you, as a police officer, it was always this fire exit that was the problem. He says, that's where we get it all the time. And
amazing.
We sat down on the floor and did an EVP call out.
Yeah.
The old team members that we had with the team that we were in before were asking, if you're here, slam the door, shut the door. And the door banged so hard like it was kicked.
Oh my God.
But it was an overpainted door that if you went to go and push it back open again, it took 2 of you to push it back open because it was so overpainted. And then I did a call out EVP, sat on the same step and said, if you're here, make yourself known. And I was listening through an EVP recorder called Zoom, and they're high powered, I can hear miles away kind of thing. And it's very loud and you can tune it to get rid of background noise. And when I'm there, nobody else can hear it because I got the headphones on. It went, and I just chucked my headphones to the floor. I said, right, I'm off.
Oh my God!
We went into they have where they did food. Where we went into the kitchen, and one of the things we try and do is, even though we're serious on investigations, sometimes if you're just talking between yourselves, very often if there is a spirit around, it will do something to try and say, "Hello, we're here." You know, you're meant to be looking for us. You're not actually meant to be having a conversation on your own. And we found a few times, just by having a private little conversation, or even just sometimes just a little laugh, just for a minute, all of a sudden, you know, a spirit will be, "Hello, you know, don't forget about me." And we went into the kitchen, and I was stood there, and I went, "Okay then," I said, "So come on, if you're in this kitchen, if there's a spirit in this kitchen, and you're happy," and I say, "If you're happy in your work," I said, "Come on, do a whistle while you work," as if, you know, and all of a sudden you heard this really loud, really clear whistle from the other end of the kitchen where there was nobody stood. Very clear, this whistle comes straight across the kitchen.
I think there was about 10 of us, and we all heard it with our ears.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really
that
good.
That was a moment to remember. That was a moment to remember.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that sounded really, really scary, but in a kind of fun way as well, especially it being a nightclub as well. So that's great. But, you know, I'm going to wind this up now because, you know, it's getting towards Halloween and we'll all got stuff to do. Now, where can people get in contact with yourselves if they've got something strange, you could say?
Well, we've got a group, but you can join the group for chats and forums, but there's no way of contacting us through that. Or you can get us on our page, which is SPI UK, Somerset Paranormal Investigators UK. And it has a message button, and it gives you directions on how you can contact us direct.
Oh, that's great. Have you two got Twitter or Facebook pages and stuff? Or do you just want people to go straight through this?
Oh, that is the Facebook page, yeah.
Okay. Have you got a Twitter for it?
No, we are in the process of doing the internet, but at the moment we're just working off of the Facebook page. It's all we've needed at the moment to go where we are, but obviously we're on a different path now. We need to try and expand our media outlet, so just stay with us and watch this space.
Well, thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Marian. It's been absolutely amazing tales what you've told. You know what I mean? It's been absolutely fantastic.
Well, thank you for inviting us, Jamie.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, there's no problem. I'll tell you what, you've actually given me a lot of food for thought about the subject. And I hope some of our listeners, you know, start looking around and perhaps experiencing, open their minds.
I think the idea, Jamie, is just to say to people, open yourself up, because it's not always, things aren't always there to scare you. People, there's spirits there that aren't there to scare you. Sometimes they're there just to hold your hand, or just to let you know that they're loved ones that have passed on that are still with you. Just because they're there doesn't mean it's there scary. And if you open yourself up to it, you'll be surprised what you can see and what you can feel.
That's fantastic. And, you know, I couldn't put it better myself, Marian. Thank you very much. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No, it's quite safe. We're okay here. Well, that's the end of another great show. And I just want to say a big thank you to Rob Southgate, Jason W.Christman and Paul Stickley for helping me out on the intro, as I could not have done it without them. And a special thanks to the folks who made the amazing film that I based my intro on, a film called The Ritual by David Buckner, and writer Joe Burton and Adam Neville, and the fantastic score by Ben Lovett. And if you've not seen it yet, then it would make a perfect movie for Halloween. And I also want to thank Caroline Mckendrick and Marian Hill and their team for coming on the show. Remember, you can show your love for this podcast with an official Radio Free t-shirts available at TeePublic, and I've got some fantastic Halloween designs up there at the moment. And also, iTunes is the best place to download us, and while you're there, please leave us a 5-star review. You can also reach out to us on social media, so search for us on Instagram, Twitter, and on Facebook. We are at Radio Free Endor. You can find me at Jamie_R_Burns, and you can email us at radiofreeendor@gmail.com, and we are part of the Southgate Media Network. How's that? Right, so just leaves me to say, have a safe Halloween, everyone, and I'll see you real soon. Nighty-night. That's the end of another show, D5. Go on. Any more marshmallows there? Ooh, thank you. What was that noise? Oh my god, it's found us! Quick! Back to the station! Run away! Run away!
Ah! Bears! What do you want to do again? Oh, sorry, I forgot what he said. Go ahead. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'm too scared witless to think of anything else myself.
Ah, me! The blast is behind you! What? Right, yeah, I did put that bit in because, right, yeah. Right.
Keep blasting fire again.
Keep going up. Sorry, keep scrolling. Right, scroll down so you're going up.
I don't want to go on before that. Grab one on fire.
Yeah. Yeah, keep going. That's it.
We've been walking for hours, mates. Where the hell are we, Paul? Try that one again. We've been walking for hours, mates.
Right. Well, now we're all here, gentlemen. Let's go and see the Bright Tree Village over there. Blah, blah, blah. Holy moly, is that the villa? Or I think it is. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, I thought we were further out than that. Blah, blah, blah. Well, it's still a good day's walk. Blah, 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 blah. Right. Thunder rumbles in the distance. You say that.
Oh, you want me to say it should be I cooked it myself?
That's right. Say, should be I cooked it myself.
Oh, okay. Should be I cooked it myself. We call them zippers here, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right, yeah. Well, you can do... is Velcro tape still called Velcro tape over there? Still. Is it called Velcro tape? Velcro. Yeah, Velcro, yeah. But I've put tape in just so it sounds Star Wars-y. 1, 2, 3. What?
What?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're way off there.
Yeah, I can edit it. I can edit it.
Would I say mate? Because I'm not English, right?
Oh, yeah,
so.
Yeah. Yeah, you're dead right, Jason. Yeah,
It sounds funny coming out of my mouth. You know?
Whatever you want to put there, you put there.
It's funny. I know what nibbles is, but I never hear anyone ever say it.
On all three podcasts, all three Halloween, well, this will be the third one, Halloween ones we've done, I've said nibbles in them all, so it's like a running joke. Right.